Afternoon. There's a certain things that we need to understand when you're dealing with ZANU-PF is that the arrogance that they have stems from the military support that they are banking from China. The Chinese businesses that are raping our mineral industries together with ZANU-PF and military bosses who have got shares in those companies stems from the fact that they have got military agreements with the Chinese military. Now, here's the thing, citizens of Zimbabwe. A military could have agreements with the foreign militaries. It's all fine. But those agreements are supposed to save you and me. If you and me as Zimbabwean are under attack, if our military has got an agreement with the Chinese military, the Chinese should come to help us, me and you, because the military is ours. But their agreements seek to protect the interests of the personnel in the Zimbabwean military and ZANU-PF and the Chinese business, unscrupulous Chinese business people whom Xi Jinping needs to know about. I wonder if Uncle Xi knows about the unscrupulous Chinese business that have got relationships with ZANU-PF, and they are banking that you and I as Zimbabweans who don't understand the law, who do not understand international relationships, they are banking on that mere fact that we do not know. When we say the Chinese military is going to help them, but the Chinese military is not mandated by the Chinese constitution to help Chinese corrupt businessmen. Xi Jinping is the biggest fighter of corruption in China. So Xi Jinping would still fight corrupt Chinese companies in foreign lands because they put a bad name to China, a bad name to CCP, and a bad name to Xi Jinping himself. And therefore, these ZANU-PF thugs hope and pray that we Zimbabweans think their alliance with the Chinese military is for the purposes of protecting their illegal and corrupt relationships between Zimbabwean ZANU-PF officials, Zimbabwe military officials, together with corrupt Chinese businessmen. They think that we as citizens cannot be able to report them to Xi Jinping. Okay, because Xi Jinping is the leader of the Chinese CCP and the leader of the Chinese military, and Xi Jinping is a fighter of corruption. Don't be lied to. Don't be told that the Chinese are destroying Zimbabwe. Of course they are, but sent by who? Xi Jinping never sent them to go to Zimbabwe to destroy Zimbabwe. He opened the gate so that they can have strategic relationships with nations like Zimbabwe. China needs raw materials from Zimbabwe. China needs to buy. China doesn't want to take raw materials by force from Zimbabwe. China pays for those raw materials. The reason is because China is a global manufacturer of almost all industrial goods. So it is at the interest of China to have even good military relationship between the Chinese military and the Zimbabwean military to secure fair trade. You hear what I said? To secure fair trade, which means it is at the interest of the Chinese CCP and Xi Jinping, uh, 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 who is the global leader. Xi Jinping is a global leader of a great magnitude, and therefore these corrupt Chinese business people who are having corrupt deals with ZANU-PF. That's why I'm saying I wonder if Xi Jinping really knows about that, or the Chinese law has been notified to check what Chinese individuals are doing in foreign lands. So one place where we need to report these unscrupulous, corrupt business dealings between ZANU-PF military men and the Chinese corrupt people is the Chinese institutions themselves. So do not be lied to. Do not be lied to and think that China wants to corrupt Zimbabwe. Just because there are evil Chinese who break labor laws, evil Chinese who break our environmental laws, does not mean that Xi Jinping is smiling and hoping that they break more laws in Zimbabwe. No, because that is bad for Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping is a global leader who also wants, who is creating a group of countries that are able to take over. What am I saying? I'm saying that he is too important a global leader to be busy stealing your resources in Zimbabwe. Do you understand what I'm saying? Xi Jinping does not steal Zimbabwe's minerals. It doesn't make sense to him. Okay, Xi Jinping has got no interest whatsoever in not paying taxes in Zimbabwe. It doesn't make sense to him. He has got enough money to buy the Zimbabwean minerals that he needs. It's not in the interest of the CCP to rep Zimbabwe, but it is in the interest of unscrupulous, corrupt Chinese businessmen together in alignment with unscrupulous, corrupt ZANU-PF politicians that undermines the political transformation or the political positioning of the CCP in global politics. So therefore, it is at the interest of the CCP, okay, which is trying to mend relationships with the United States and other global countries in order for them to be a partner in global trade, a partner that can be trusted. So do not think that China is happy with the corruption in Zimbabwe. So China, we have seen Xi Jinping fighting corruption in China, targeting billionaires in China. And therefore, what now we need to do is to report the Chinese corrupt individuals to China. Xi Jinping won't mind tracking them down to China, including the corrupt ZANU-PF officials who use Chinese banking system. China is trying to build a good global banking system through BRICS and fight and competing with the United States system. And I do not think that Xi Jinping is interested in the corruption of ZANU-PF and corrupt Chinese businessmen to use the Chinese economic system to oppress black Africans. Xi Jinping has got has got nothing to benefit from you Africans suffering. It means nothing to him. It's not going to benefit him. In fact, it's counterproductive. So therefore, ZANU-PF banks on that we as black Zimbabweans will look at Xi Jinping as our enemy. No, Xi Jinping is our friend. The CCP is our friend against corrupt ZANU-PF official and corrupt businessmen, because our anti-corruption institutions in Zimbabwe have already been corrupted by Idi Mnangagwa. However, the anti-corruption institutions in China have not been corrupted by anyone in the CCP. In fact, they are empowered by the CCP to fight corruption in China and even outside the borders of China. So if there's any Chinese businessman in Zimbabwe busy doing unscrupulous businesses with ZANU-PF Wokoyo, we are going to tell Uncle Xi. Uncle Xi is going to come for you. Yes, I'm going to use the weapon, the whip of the Chinese military against you. Do not think that just because the Zimbabwe military has got an agreement with the Chinese military, it means that the Chinese military wants us Zimbabweans to be suffering. That is a lie. The Chinese military and Xi Jinping have got no interest in destroying the lives of Africans. They've got zero thing to benefit. Therefore, be warned at ZANU-PF. Do not think that we cannot use labor laws, international laws, including the Chinese that you are hoping on. Because I've seen Chris Mutswanga, she sits there comfortable knowing that who are these Zimbabweans? We've got the Chinese to back us up. The Chinese that are backing you up are actually also lying, because they do not have the Chinese military backup. They do not have Xi Jinping's blessing. Xi Jinping and the Chinese military and the Chinese Communist Party, which right now is fighting a global propaganda war against their governance system. They have got no interest in developing systems of operations. China is getting ready to lead the world. And as they're getting ready to lead the world, things like corruption, like cheap corruption, like stealing diamonds. They in what's that place in Marange? Do not tell me that Xi Jinping is interested in stealing Zimbabwe diamonds. He has got money to buy them. Let me tell you something that you must know. If Xi Jinping wants Zimbabwean diamonds, he can just print Chinese yuan and get the diamonds. If Xi Jinping wants all the minerals in Zimbabwe, he can just print his money and buy it. There's no need for him to come and steal from you Zimbabweans. Xi Jinping has got no interest whatsoever in not building roads in Zimbabwe. In fact, the Chinese military, the Chinese government has built lots of bridges and roads in Africa on loans that African governments have not even repaid. And the Chinese military hasn't invaded those countries to get their money back. So you must understand where China stands. China is not your colonizer, Africa. Your colonizer are your corrupt African leaders who take advantage of the people's ignorance and also use a few Chinese faces who also are committing a crime according to Chinese law and are liable to Chinese jail. So do not say this 2030 Chinese coming to Zimbabwe and eat Mnangagwa announcing and you think that Xi Jinping knows about it. You discover that Xi Jinping does not know anything about it and they're just doing some undercover dealings that will get them arrested in China, including your corrupt friends in ZANU-PF. So as we move forward, China is not our friend. I mean, China is not our enemy. China is our friend. But the evil Chinese that are breaking Chinese law needs to be reported to China and dealt with. Have a great afternoon.